some highlights in a moment, Sam, but it is worth noting off the top that a prominent member of this organization was on hand for the game tonight, a guy we hadn't seen in a few days.
Yeah, Mike, the game in and of itself was the smaller storyline because pregame, a little after 6 p.m., there was a Nico Harrison sighting. He was here on the court watching warm-up. This was just a little after 6 p.m., so fans are generally allowed into the building an hour and a half before tip-off. So couldn't really hear too many boos, but remember, Nico Harrison didn't speak to the media on Friday when Anthony Davis and company were introduced officially as Dallas Mavericks. And the fan base had something to say about that as well. But he was here tonight. Patrick Dumont, Mavs governor, as well, was in his usual courtside seat. During the game, there were a few instances where you could hear booing, and there were several fans who were eventually escorted out of the building. One in particular, Mike, who was featured on the Jumbotron, you could see him say, "Fire Nico." So, again, several fans were escorted out of the building today.
Entertaining games.
All right. So before we get into that, the fans that were escorted out of the building, I talked about this, covered this story last week very briefly. Here we are, less than 2 weeks since this trade, this blockbuster trade, in the NBA went down between the Dallas Mavericks and the Los Angeles Lakers. And put myself on the screen here so I can see y'all up close and personal. All right. So. We're less than 2 weeks into this deal, and I went on to say, in the short term, if y'all go back and check out the video, I said in the short term, Dallas Mavericks were the winners of this trade in terms of their team overall, from top to bottom. Adding Anthony Davis into what they already had, they're a team that can compete for a championship right now. That's what I stated last week. And the Lakers won the trade long term because Luka's only 25. He hasn't even scratched his prime yet, and so they'll be able to build around Luka for years to come. And so what also came with that was also a lot of backlash, a fan backlash there in Dallas because they didn't want to give up Luka. Luka was their savior. He was the golden child. And when they gave up Luka, that that city and probably the state probably went, were upset. It was so bad, and they kind of mentioned to it or alluded to it there in the clip that Nico Harrison was getting death threats. I mean, it's that serious. The general manager is getting death threats from fans that are upset with the trade. They're not mad at the owner. He's just a GM who, yes, he facilitated trade working with Rob Pelinka, the GM for the Los Angeles Lakers, but um, the fans are primarily mad at that man, Nico Harrison, the general manager, and they want him fired. They want him gone. And so, in theory, like I said, they had in short term, the better of the deal. Well, here we are this past Saturday before the Super Bowl. Anthony Davis plays in his first game as a Dallas Maverick. First game as a Dallas Maverick, and he comes out and he puts up, I'm talking just a monster line in 3 quarters. Let me tell you what he had. He had 26 points, 16 rebounds, 7 assists, and 3 blocks in only 3 quarters of basketball. 3 quarters. Like, he came out like game busters to show them that, hey, he wasn't no scrub that was just thrown in a trade. He wasn't just no throw in, that he is a top 10 NBA player in the league, which he is. But then what happens? The inevitable happens with Anthony Davis. He gets hurt in the fourth quarter and he's out. And now news has come out that he's going to miss at least a month. A month of basketball at a minimum. That's a minimum. And so where I thought, based off the trade at the time, the Dallas Mavericks were better suited short term. Now I'm changing my mind kind of because not only do they got Anthony Davis out, to add injury to insult, they got Lively out. He's their other center. He's their backup center. Their starting center Daniel Gafford, went out last night. PJ Washington, one of their bigs, forwards, scoring forwards that gives them points, is out. He's had a bum ankle for the last couple of weeks. And then you also have Kyrie, who has back issues. So, what looked like a great team and seemed like a great team on paper at the time, just like that, it's falling apart. It's falling apart on them. And I feel bad for him. I hate that Nico Harrison is getting that it's come that far that a man is getting death threats, over a game of basketball. But you got these fans that are so feel like they're so invested in it that they'll take it there, which is wrong. So let's get back to this interview and I'll give you some more thoughts here.
Sam, back and forth it went. The Mavs had a double-digit lead in the fourth that they squandered. Went to overtime as we saw. Usually, this is the time we'd have the post-game reaction, but really, big picture, the most relevant comments came before the game from the Mavericks head coach tonight.
Yeah, Mike, there's no question about it. This type of game is a game, and I saw it on social media, someone tweeting out, it's a shame that the Mavs don't have a generational talent to close this game out tonight while Luka Doncic is making his debut for the Lakers. Mike, this is really every Mavs fan's worst nightmare in terms of this trade. As Luka is on the Lakers, the Mavs got a little glimpse into big man Anthony Davis and the damage that he can do on the court. But injuries, as we know, has been a big storyline for his entire career. He hadn't played before Saturday since January 28th with that abdominal strain. He got injured on Saturday in his Mavs debut for what the Mavs are now calling a left adductor strain. There's a chance he could miss several weeks, maybe up to even a month. But head coach Jason Kidd did speak with the media before this game, and he said, really, there's still more evaluation on Anthony Davis that needs to be done, and it's still too early to speculate how much time he could miss.
Let's pivot to Luka now, and as we showed people off the top, that game was a late start out west tonight, and the Lakers lead Utah. Doncic has 11 points at halftime in that game. One of the big headlines from a Mavs standpoint is the fact that Dirk is at the game in Los Angeles tonight. And the Mavericks legend tweeted, "I will always be a Mav for life, but had to come support my guy 77, Luka, in the first game of his new chapter." So, and again, Dirk, God bless him, is doing.
Big ups to Dirk Nowitzki for going out there to LA last night to support Luka Doncic. Yeah, of course, people are going to take sides, but Dallas, hey, like he said right there, he always be a man for life. He bought the Dallas Mavericks a NBA title, so hey, you can't hate on Dirk for going out there to support him.
Doing what he has to do. He's standing by his guy. He's standing by his friend. He's walking a fine line here. But just when the Mavericks organization thinks that it couldn't be piled on them anymore, the all-time icon in franchise history says, "You know what? I got to go out and support Luka tonight." That has to hurt the brain trust, the management, just a little bit.
And that's a statement that Dirk made tonight in and of itself, right? The fact that he's in LA watching Luka. And I mean, I understand it. I can only imagine the conversation that those two have had over the course of the last 9 days, as you said. And back to Mavs Governor Patrick Dumont coming out of the half when he was walking back to his seat.
Now, again, Luka played his first game as a Laker last night. And they rolled over the Utah Jazz. I know that's not saying much, as Utah Jazz are a team that are rebuilding right now. However, it's very interesting to see how LeBron and Luka would play together, being that they're both ball dominant players. And I have to tell you, even though he did not score a lot of points, Luka, in his first game as a Laker, he looked great. Him and LeBron seemed like a perfect match, a perfect fit together. I think the Lakers that was like their fifth or sixth win in a row. and Luka came out like he just fit right in. And so he had, let's see, 14 points, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists last night. For a player that hasn't played in 2 months, you got to remember Luka's been injured for 2 months. So, to come back and play but like that under new circumstances, a new team, a new city, um, got to give him a big shout out. Again, he looked awesome last night. LeBron had 24 points, 7 rebounds, 8 assists, doing typical LeBron things, even at 40 years of age. But, back to the trade. This trade is going to, man, I ultimately think this is going to I feel bad for Nico Harrison of Dallas Mavericks. The fan base is against him now. They want him gone. Again, there was a fan that got kicked out last night. He even had a Nico Harrison or Fire Nico Harrison T-shirts, and I think those are roaming around Dallas right now. So he has a mark on him right now from the fans, and unfortunately, the team is injured. And if he doesn't get results despite all the injuries, guess what? Upper management, upper ownership is gonna, basically find reasons to get rid of him because he is the one who ultimately went to the owners and persuaded them into this trade. So he had something to do with it. The owners approved it, ultimately approved it, and but they're not gonna catch the flack. It's the GM, the general manager, is gonna catch the flack. A owner ain't gonna fire himself. He gonna fire somebody, and so I think Nico Harrison is gonna be the low hanging fruit in this situation. And again, I hope the fans, man, come on, it's just a game. Death threats, it's unwanted, it's unnecessary, and if you're doing something like that, hopefully you're caught and handled appropriately. Anyways, again, I'm at the point now where I'm gonna give it a month, see how Dallas recovers as far as the injuries go. But it looks like, man, that Lakers might have won in short term and long term as far as this AD and Luka Doncic trade. So I want to know what your thoughts, what your opinions are. Leave me some feedback in the comments. Do you think the Lakers won both short term and long? Or do you have any other thoughts on it? Like I said, AD is injury prone, and the Lakers were just that close. They were 2 weeks away from he would have been, or not even 2 weeks, 1 week away from him being damaged goods, and the trade would have been obsolete. We wouldn't even be talking about this. Fans would be, loving it down in Dallas and all that good stuff. But that is just how close this blockbuster trade could have just been nixed, and we never would have been talking about this. But again, let me know your thoughts, your feedback on this. Like, subscribe to the page, to the channel, and I will catch y'all in the next one. It's DJ Mo D. I'm signing out. Peace. What you say?